Welcome to the first edition of the Semei Today Global Perspectives podcast. We'll be talking about global events. So students have been researching some news. And so what do you guys find interesting, guys and girls?
Unfortunately, today the rights of gay people are still violated, and one of the examples is that the blood donor deferral discriminatory towards gay men, because in Canada, gay men are not allowed to donate their blood until they have waited for 3 months after having sex with another man, and that might be because of the HIV crisis in 2015, when thousands of Canadians were found as patients who have HIV because they had received a blood of a man who had HIV, and he got it from his boyfriend. And I think it is an issue that still is in our society, and we have to deal with it.
So do you think the law there's a reason for that? You think it's a bad law? It's a good law? What do you think?
I think it is a bad law because not all of the cases are the same, and even if in 2015 people got HIV from the man who got HIV from his boyfriend, it doesn't mean that today people are still going to get HIV. So it is a discrimination towards the gay men, so they have to be allowed to donate their blood wherever they want, because straight people are allowed to donate their blood.
Continuing the topic of LGBTQ plus people, I want to mention one situation which take place in our country, in Kazakhstan. Even if in our constitution from 1998, people who have another sexual orientation can be together, in Kazakhstan there's no opportunity to have gay parades. For example, in 2019, in cities like Almaty or Astana, Nur-Sultan now, gay parades were banned. And also there's one problem that, for example, in Ukraine, in Kiev, gay parade was banned by deputies, and also there was a fight between participants of gay parade and radicals. They wanted to kill them, and they also said, like, if you will continue, then we will kill you. And that's a real problem which we should find solution, because it's a human rights violation, and that's not right.
Okay. Somehow I heard that gay parades, they are organized by government on purpose, because now how we know there's a lot of issues that they face, government of Europe. So they organize these parades to draw attention of people on something else. I heard that just some Germany people now migrates from Germany, because they're very often organization of this parade, so they don't want to participate in it.
Okay, danke. Do we want to? Are there any other news stories or anything more to add on this theme?
I want to add that according to the US LGBTQ society, Kazakhstan is considered as one of the countries where gay refugees can live, but I think it is a little controversial that even the government of Kazakhstan violates the rights of gay people, while the Kazakhstan is considered to be a safe country. And that's all.
All right, we have a few minutes left over here.
So about politics and geopolitics war, Palestine-Israel conflict have been continuing since 20th century, and at the UN Assembly, President of Palestine Mahmoud Abbas reject arrogance of Israel, vows to determine all agreement in Palestinian territory is annexed. Also, Mr. Abbas isn't satisfied that member of UN is United States fomenting war between Palestine and Israel. And Mahmoud Abbas asked UN Assembly to solve this problem.
All right. Do we have any other thoughts on Israel-Palestine? Recently, Netanyahu, the prime minister, went for re-election, and he had even claimed that they were going to expand more territory for Israel. Any other thoughts on Israel-Palestine? Or we'll go to another news story?
Continuing the news about human rights, in Sweden, someone suggests to legalize men abortion. It means when men who don't can abandon the child and abandon from him before 18th week of pregnancy, and if the wife of this man or some other woman who born it the child, he can just abandon the elements.
I think that in Sweden it was a good new law, because the problem is in our country the majority of women use that, and because of that the problem of democracy and, for example, the problem of social relationships are relevant now in our country.
I have new another kind
All right. What's your news story?
about ecological activism of Greta Thunberg, and I wanted to say that Greta Thunberg is a young girl who
I know.
yes, who became famous by her speech about
On last UN summit.
yes, about UN summit, and
I heard about her, and she was famous. Became famous by her acts in. She stayed in front of parliament instead of going school on Friday. So she said, and when people criticized her, why did you not go to school? She said that school don't give her like an opportunity to say her opinion about ecological problems.
And don't forget the famous actor Jason. I always forget his last name. Momoa also spoke as well at the UN. And this will do it for our first edition of our very first podcast covering this week's topics from LGBT, Israel-Palestine, and climate change with Greta and Jason at the UN. Stay tuned for our next episode coming soon.